All right, everyone. So I'm Marco, and this is my beautiful wife, Natasha, and we're the owners of the Urban Writers. And today we're going to talk about how we built $1 million business. So we're going to dive right in. In April, so we opened the Urban Writers in April 2018, and this is how our company looked like back then. So it was me. We had 5 writers and a third-party editing company. That's it. That's all the Urban Writers was when we first started. Fast forward to today, last month particularly, we have myself and Natasha. We have an operations manager. We have a writing division coordinator, editing division coordinator, an assistant to operations manager, customer service reps, 80 writers, 30 editors, 2 designers, 5 copywriters. So we have a pretty big team. So that was all done within about a year and a half, give or take. So before we dive into the business and how we were able to achieve this, Natasha's going to go over a little bit of our story.
Hello? Can you guys hear me? Yeah? Okay, cool. So we can go to the next slide. So I'm just going to dive right in from when we started self-publishing, just because there's a lot to tell, as we all have stories. So we got into self-publishing in April of 2017. That was mostly Marco's doing. So with Marco, he's kind of all over the place with what he wanted to do. He was, a tech support agent for a company. He was doing software development part-time, completely underpaid. And then he was at home trying to figure out, the next best thing, how to make money online. So he presented self-publishing to me, and I was just like, oh my God, there's another thing. Here we go. At that time, I was working for my dog grooming business, 9 to 5, killing myself, breaking my back. My arms were falling apart. I was going to physiotherapy. It was a nightmare. I was coming home, complaining. I was unhappy. He just got tired of listening to me, complain all the time. He's like, listen, have your business. Why don't you come in and do this self-publishing thing with me? That wasn't the first thing we started, actually. We did Amazon FBA first. The initial investment is more. You have to put more up front. We tried it. I wouldn't say we were unsuccessful, but we just made our money back. We chose a fad item. It was that fidget cube.
Fidget cube.
The cube, not the spinner. We were actually going to try the spinner, but then we decided to go with self-publishing instead. So to kind of sum everything up, we were unhappy. We wanted more out of our life. We wanted to be able to provide for our family. I was so pregnant at that time, too. I was like massive. But we decided to go all in, and literally it changed everything. So Mark's going to take over with numbers.
Okay. So this is just some numbers so you can kind of get an idea of how far we've gone. So last year, first 2 months, 4,000 and 6,000 a month respectively. And then jump forward to today, past 3 months. So June, we did just over 105,000. July, we just did over 107. And then August, we did just over 78,000. So far, total for the entire year of 2019, we've done over 750,000 US, which is just shy of $1 million Canadian. And by the end of December, we should do just over $1 million US, which is about 1.4 Canadian. So that's where things stand with us in terms of numbers. Challenges and lessons learned. Natasha will take over.
Thank you, Marco. So one of the major things that we came across, I would say our number one challenge is scaling. Even now, that's a challenge for us because we depend so heavily on workers. In January of this year, we doubled our sales. So we went from 50,000 a month in December and jumped to 115,000 a month. A lot of that was due to our friends over there sitting at that table. It was a crazy spike. We weren't able to keep up and sustain the sales that were coming in. So we were more lenient with our hiring. Writers weren't delivering on time. Writers were disappearing. Deadlines were extremely delayed. It was a complete mess. So I decided, you know what, enough's enough. We decided, let's take it back a step, slow down, and start again. So the lesson we learned from that is take your time with scaling. I mean, we all go through growing pains at some point in our business, but really, really think about that one. Number 2, outsourcing your services. This worked great for us at the beginning. We had a third-party editing team. He was great, but it was small. As we grew and we scaled, so did they. And they also ran into the same issues as us. I was afraid personally to let go of our editing team because I'm like, oh my God, we have all these orders, we have all these delays. Now we want to get rid of our editors. Okay, so, well, he wasn't our editor. So we got rid of him and I started hiring. And I just went at it full force. It was all me at the beginning. I developed a really, really solid system for hiring and it literally transformed. 360. We started seeing tremendous results. So the lesson from that is keep critical processes in-house. Hiring the right people. Make sure you have the right people in the right seats. Like, I can't stress that enough. If you have someone that's not in the right seat, let them go, reassess, hire someone else, okay? Really important. Stick to your strengths and hire your weaknesses. Culture, love this one. So I was brought into the Urban Writers November of 2018. And that's what I brought with me. I created culture at the Urban Writers. We established community. So creating a vibrant culture, a community instead of a workplace. So with that, we created webinars. We created supportive channels. Writers were helping writers. Editors were helping editors. Editors were helping writers. So not only were they given a job, but they were now given an opportunity to hone their skills. Okay?
So now we're going to move on to how do you go from 0 to $1 million? So how do you build a 7-figure business? And we've concluded that there's 4 core principles or key areas that you really need to focus on to be able to do this. So we're going to start with the first, which is solve a specific problem. So something niche. Ideally, you don't want to go solve world hunger. That's not something you want to get started in. You want to hone in and figure out a problem that you can solve. So step number 1 is you got to find a problem. And this is actually, with the internet, it's so easy to do. You go online, see what people are complaining about, right? Whatever industry you're in. For books, it's the same thing, right? See what people are complaining about a book and solve that problem for them. And the next step is create the solution for the problem. Figure out what it is, what you can build. If you have the right skills, hire the right people to solve that specific problem. Now, you don't want to just solve the problem. You want to be the best at solving the problem. You don't want to just go create something, okay, solves it, and then that's it. No, you want to focus on being the best. So once you solve a specific problem, the next step is to create exceptional experiences. So it's all about your customer. It's all about them. They're the focus. So make value your number 1 priority. This is extremely crucial. If it wasn't for this, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have a business this big. So value is number 1. Next is provide genuine care for your customers. Actually care about them. Listen to them. Support them. If something's not working, help them. Just focus on your customer. And your customer will see this, and this is what creates long-term relationships with your customer. Lastly is always innovate and improve your offer. Don't stagnate. Don't just you build something and then that's it. No, focus on improving it, focus on making it better, and focus on adding other products that supplement or services that supplement whatever your offer is. So don't just let it be. Always focus on improving and innovating. Natasha's going to talk about this one.
So next is build a great team. Hire the right people. We already touched base on this. I can't stress that enough. When Mark and I first started, we were doing everything ourselves, and ever since we started hiring the right people, our operations manager literally transformed our business. She is incredible, and she was worth every penny. Have a collective mission and vision. So measure success as a team. It's very important. We have over 100 people working for us. And everybody has to be unanimous and on the same page. Gotcha. So this is really important. We have weekly meetings, actually, and touch base on this, and we go through it with our management team. Establish a culture that aligns with your company's goals. This one, I mean, it speaks for itself. We have literally made something so great within the Urban Writers. On my birthday, sort of kind of go off topic, but on my birthday this year in May, I had like 30 or 40 writers DM me, even editors, and just say, like, you're amazing. And I'm not just saying I'm amazing, but like it was good to hear that we're impacting them so much. So this is building a great team is definitely going to take you to where you want to go. And everyone on your team should add value. Every single person. Every one of my workers adds value to my company, and they know that, and that's why they're performing at their best. So it's important to make sure you make them feel valued as well. Everyone on my team is an equal. I might be their boss, but I'm not their boss. We're at the same level, and that's why we're able to build such a successful company.
So the last one is attract the right customers. And this is just as important as everything else. And there's one specific method that's, for us, has worked by far the best. And it's really the only one we've been focusing on. And it brings amazing results. So affiliates, influencers, word of mouth. These are literally all the same. There is no difference. There's a subtle difference. So word of mouth, customers happy with your service or your product, they let their friends know, and then they check you out. An affiliate essentially does the same thing, except they get paid for it. So they'll let everybody know, hey, I checked out this service, really good, you guys should check it out. And then influencers, they may be paid, they may not be paid, it depends on the relationship, but it's the same thing, it's a word of mouth. They're telling you that they used a service, they bought a product, they loved it, and now they share it with everybody, and then everybody trusts them. So it's a trust thing, and ultimately, trust is the winner. So we found this to be the most influential way to attract the right customers for us. Next is highly targeted ads. This is something that the Urban Writers does not use right now, but it's something that we'll work on in the future. But this is another way to attract the right customers by knowing your customer and focusing in on them through advertising. And then organic traffic. Ultimately, this is what you want. Pop up on search, just all organic, coming into your store, whatever your product is, your service, which is what we're really focusing on now. So to wrap this up, we're going to talk about you as the founder and what it takes to really build a company like this. So you got to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. You got to get past your fears. Being uncomfortable is the state that you always want to be in. Because if you're not in that state, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're not succeeding. You have to be beyond who you are now to grow into your future self. So you got to make sacrifices. If you got to work late nights, you got to work all day, put in 18 hours. If you have to do it, you have to do it. Make sacrifices now so that you can live better in the future. You got to establish a discipline and focus, which goes into going all in. So you have a business, don't focus on other ventures. Focus on that business. Focus on that thing that you're trying to build, the product you're trying to produce, the service you're trying to create. And go all in on it. That should be the only thing that you're doing and nothing else. Focus on providing value over money. Money will only get you so far. You'll reach a limit and you'll never go past that because you don't have value backing it up. So, quick example, publishing was a money focus for us. And so we hit a certain figure and we're like, cool, we're done. And we moved on to the next thing. But we could have easily taken publishing much, much further if our focus was on the value of the business that we provided as a publisher. So money will only get you so far. Value can take you anywhere you want to go. And the last thing is always aim to be number one. This is how you become the best. This is how you grow. Aim to be number one. I got to wrap this up quick. I'm really sorry.
Okay, so that's it for our presentation. I actually just wanted to read this quote out loud to you. It's from a book that D1 actually recommended, Traction. I love that book. Thank you for the recommendation. If you cannot risk, you cannot grow. If you cannot grow, you cannot become your best. If you cannot become your best, you cannot be happy. And if you cannot be happy, what else matters? That's it for us, guys. Thank you.
We're going to do a Q&A if anybody's interested in asking us questions. Ollie? Oh,
Yeah, shout. Shout.
Yes, a question. In terms of hiring, what would you say is the biggest mistake people make?
that's a great question.
Okay, so for hiring, what the biggest mistake that we made was not actually doing formal interviews with people online, because there's so many fake people out there, and like they put up fake photos and then you think you're working. Like we've had so many instances where we're working with someone that's a completely different race. Like they're just not who they are. So doing video interviews is probably the best thing I would recommend to anybody who's not going to be using a writing services company. Yeah.
Thank you.
So just, this is a little weird, I'm sorry. So essentially just implementing a thorough process and figure out what it is for your business, but hone in on that because hiring is like key. It's very, very important.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome. Thanks, Ollie.
Could you talk a little bit about how you develop culture, given your brand is hiring people from all over the world?
So bringing new writers in, we have a thorough hiring process. So they do a trial job for us first when they come in. Once they're in, they're given an official welcome. And in the welcome, we invite them to various channels depending on the tier level that they're at. We also have channels for support. We have channels where they can post random things. We host webinars where they can chat amongst themselves. There's so many things that, like, they'll log in just to talk to one another. It's not just go to work. And it's great to see them interacting. We recently had a post of writers. I do mindset exercises once a week where I'll get them to engage. It's like a public channel. And it was just magic happening. They were posting photos of their families, like making people feel valued is what brings them to work, what brings them to give you their best. So that's what we're trying to do with the Urban Writers. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm interested where you find the people. Do you go on Upwork or where do you find them?
So I use various platforms, Upwork, Outsourcely, Hubstaff. We actually have a referral program now, which is what's working the best. So we have writers that are referring their friends that are good writers, and they get bounties for it. So that's actually what's working the best for us right now. Out of all the platforms, I would say Outsourcely is Upwork is probably the best, but again, it's a hit and miss with all of those websites. You really have to make sure that you try them out, meet them, do a video chat, because if you don't do that, and it's not gonna be good. That's all I gotta say. I've been through it so many times. I've hired and fired so many people. Question for Marco?
Yeah, when I saw about the organization that you put there, do you have like a physical office with employees, or it's all run with remote
So
working
yeah,
freelancers?
it's all remote, and then we have a platform that we use as a communication channel for the
Okay.
whole team. And then everybody that's part of our team is in there, and like we can make announcements. Like she said, there's specific channels that are designed for specific conversations. So yeah, everybody's remote. We only have one local hire. We have two. Well, we have a new one now, but it's okay.
We have a virtual office, so if we want to host like a conference, we could do that, but we haven't utilized that yet.
So
Yeah.
but everything is remote. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Cool. Let me just say your name.
I'm Tem. My name's
Hi.
Tem. Hi. So you said measure success as a team. Does each, I guess, group of people have their own success metrics, or is it kind of just in general revenue? Or
It should be the core. When I say that, I mean the core values of our company. So each person, I would expect that they would have something to measure for their own personal growth. But for working at the Urban Writers, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Because when you're all on the same page, you're working towards the same goal. So it's just, it really has shifted the Urban Writers. Where we were last year to where we are now is like, we've evolved. So, yeah.
So more about culture and not about metrics. Okay.
Both. So you want to implement both. So you want to strive your employees or your contractors in our case to progress and be better by giving them certain targets, right? So we have like a certain, for writers, we'll have a certain word count that they should try to aim per day
I see.
to help them improve. And we have like other metrics that we use, but for the most part, it's very culture driven.
Got it. Thank you.
We'll just do two more quick questions.
So it's always it's always good to talk about the honey and how good things are, but how quick do you fire contractors or just about tolerance when it comes to quality or big huge mistakes, somebody just mess it up completely,
So it's going to depend on the severity of the issue, but we are very intolerant to certain things. So, for example, for our writers, we're very intolerant to plagiarism. If you're caught, you're out. No second chances whatsoever. If you make like a small mistake, we'll give you a second chance. It depends on the mistake.
We also have a rating system. So for every project, our writers are rated by the editors. And if their rating drops, they're given a warning to improve on their next order. And if it doesn't go up, then we let them go.
Hi guys,
Hi.
Beto Salinas. I want to ask about y'all's relationship. I noticed Marco's name at the top and then the first couple slides, and then it was Natasha and Marco.
On the
Name
top?
on the top of the, I guess, pyramid.
I know you're talking
Yeah.
about. In 2018,
So
right?
yes, exactly. So what I'm trying to say is, how did you bring her on board? With all the companies that you guys run, and how do you manage to do you treat each other like a couple when you're like talking about business, or do you guys just roll with it? Can you talk more about that?
You want me to do it? So I had my own business before, but again, it was 9 to 5. I was working in my business, not on my business. And Marco was like, well, why don't you keep your business, keep it running? Because I really didn't need to be there at that time. And I want you to come into the Urban Writers. So I came in November and I helped do things that he needed to take his focus away from. Marco's very talented at doing everything, but he loves software development. I have to say that. He likes software dev, so that's what he's working on right now. That's all he's working on. But as a team, we fight. Oh my God, we fought yesterday while we were presenting, trying to get practice, for this, because he's like, you should say it like this, and I'm like, let me be me. So, we fight. We're normal. We're a normal couple. What are you doing?
No, I got this.
So I know we have to wrap this up, but
Right there.
yeah, it's hard work. But if you have, if you and your partner are aligned and on the same path, then you can make it work 100%.
Just one
Hold
more
on.
input, just one more, real quick. Figure out what you're strong at. Figure out what your partner's strong at, and use that together to create something.
So no, we just okay. So Natasha, you came in November
Yeah.
last year, November. Sales November were
50.
50. December sales were.
They were.
And then Natasha jumps in full steam in January. 2019 sales are.
Wow. Yeah. 100
plus.
Yeah. Well, we had help from our friends.
Yeah. Just take the credit. Awesome message, guys. You have Urban Coin.
We do.
What is the
U.S. dollar equivalent to one urban coin?
Well, a single urban coin is not very much.
That's awesome. Let's give it up for the Matinos, guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right.